He had everything money could buy, except peace. And one day, a barefoot boy at a traffic signal taught him what millions never could. In the heart of Mumbai's concrete jungle lived a man named Arjun Mehta, a name everyone admired. He was the CEO of a top real estate company, owner of luxury cars, and resident of a sky-high penthouse that touched the clouds. People called him a man who made it, but behind his success was an emptiness money couldn't fill. Every morning began with expensive coffee and ended with silence. His house was full of things, but not warmth. His life was full of people, but not connection. One day, while stuck in traffic, Arjun's restless eyes wandered outside his tinted car window. That's when he saw a small boy, barefoot, juggling oranges in the scorching Sunday. His clothes were torn, his hair messy, but his smile was bright enough to outshine the heat. The boy approached Arjun's car and said cheerfully, "Sir, fresh oranges, sweet like sunshine." Arjun didn't even look up. "No, I don't need," he replied coldly. But the boy grinned wider and said, "Then take one for free, sir. It'll make your heart smile." Arjun paused. No one had spoken to him like that in years. He looked into the boy's innocent eyes and, without realizing, took the orange. The signal turned green, and the car moved, but that smile stayed behind, glowing in his memory. That night, in his glass apartment overlooking the city lights, Arjun couldn't stop thinking about the boy. Why did that one small gesture move him so much? Days passed, but something inside him had changed. He began noticing people, the tea seller, the watchman, the cleaner, all smiling through struggles he couldn't imagine. And yet, he, the man with everything, couldn't remember the last time he had smiled from the heart. One evening, unable to resist, he drove back to that same traffic signal. There he was, the boy, juggling oranges again, laughing, talking to strangers. Arjun rolled down the window and said, "Hey champ, what's your name?" "Raju, sir," the boy said proudly. "Want an orange again?" Arjun smiled faintly. "Why do you sell these every day?" Raju replied simply, "Because people forget to smile, sir. If I make them smile, they buy oranges. If not, at least I gave them one for free." Arjun's heart softened. "Where are your parents?" Raju's smile faded for a moment. "Papa drives a rickshaw. Ma is sick. I sell oranges to buy her medicine." Then, as if pain never existed, he added with a grin, "But don't worry, sir. God's still nice to us." Arjun didn't know what to say. For the first time, he realized this little boy, who had nothing, was richer than him in spirit. A week later, when Arjun returned to that signal, Raju wasn't there. He waited. 1 day, 2 days, nothing. Finally, he asked a nearby vendor, "Where's that orange boy?" The vendor replied sadly, "His mother's very sick. He's at the clinic near Dharavi." Without thinking, Arjun drove straight there. He found Raju sitting beside his mother, feeding her with a plastic spoon, his small hands trembling, but his face still calm. When Raju saw him, his eyes lit up. "Sir, you came." Arjun walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "I had to see you, champ." Raju's mother, weak but smiling, said softly, "Namaste, Sahib. My son talks about you. Says you're the man who took his orange but gave him hope." Arjun felt something break inside. He quietly paid for her treatment, arranged proper medicines, and made sure they had enough food. When he turned to leave, Raju called out, "Sir, you gave us so much today. Can I give you something too? Arjun smiled. What will you give me, Raju? The boy's grin widened. A smile. The same one you gave me that day. And he smiled that same pure, shining smile that had once melted Arjun's pride. Weeks turned into months. Arjun began visiting often. He helped Raju get into a school, found his father a steady job, and stayed in touch. But something else changed too, Arjun himself. He started volunteering on weekends, donating anonymously, and spending time with underprivileged kids. For the first time in years, he began to feel human again. His assistant Nisha noticed it one morning. Sir, she said playfully, you're smiling these days. What's the secret? Arjun looked out of the office window and whispered, I finally learned the price of a smile. Years later, Arjun stood on a stage as chief guest at the inauguration of a small charity hospital. The founder, now grown up, was Dr. Raju, the same boy who once sold oranges at a signal. Raju took the mic and said emotionally, I once met a man who taught me that kindness is the most powerful currency in the world. He changed my mother's life, and he changed mine. Arjun's eyes filled with tears. He couldn't stop smiling. That day, he realized he had spent his whole life earning wealth. But this was what true richness felt like. As the crowd applauded, Raju turned to Arjun and said, Sir, today, this hospital stands because you once bought an orange. Arjun smiled with tears in his eyes and said softly, No, Raju. It stands because you never stopped smiling. Money can buy things, but not feelings. It can build walls, but not warmth. The real price of a smile is not in gold or silver, it's in a heart that knows how to care.